Breaking today, the implosion of the Sussexes. Meghan Markle's Archwell charity scam and as ever lies have finally been exposed, an astonishing double blow.
When Meghan's luxury brand website leaked its hidden inventory, the internet didn't just see jam jars. They saw the truth behind a billion-dollar image.
Alone, flower sprinkles, she has 80,391 units not sold.
They built an empire on image, glossy interviews, slow-motion Netflix shots, and a fairy tale that promised purpose over privilege. But when Meghan Markle's luxury brand website glitched and accidentally revealed its hidden inventory, the internet didn't just see jam jars. They saw cracks, deep ones, running straight through the royal rebrand of the century.
That is her main thing. That's the meat of her business. Because, flower sprinkles, she sprinkles this everywhere. This woman is absolutely broke.
Overnight, the As Ever leak became the digital equivalent of a palace scandal. Thousands of unsold products, millions in lost donations, and a reputation polished to perfection suddenly looked like smoke and mirrors. For years, the Sussexes told us they were rewriting the royal rulebook, but now it looks more like they misplaced it.
Catastrophically bad things are going for Harry and Meghan. Archwell is essentially done. Any aspect of their charity has essentially collapsed completely, and it's been revealed for what it really always was, which is a publicity stunt.
Archwell's finances are shrinking faster than Meghan's press team. Staff are vanishing like background characters in a reality show, and their once exclusive Netflix deal just got quietly downgraded. The golden couple of Hollywood royalty is starting to look more like the producers of their own downfall. And yet, through it all, they smile for the cameras. Because when you've built a brand around perfection, admitting it's cracking isn't an option. This isn't just a glitch or a PR hiccup. This is the moment the image started fighting back. But what if the real leak wasn't the website, but the truth behind the Markle machine itself? Stay tuned, because what comes next makes the Megxit drama look like a rehearsal.
Obviously, they were expecting a lot more money to come in, and it hasn't. In fact, I think a whole bunch of money is flowing out and very little is flowing back into Harry and Meghan.
The numbers don't lie, even when the press releases try to. Archwell, once hyped as the Sussexes' grand mission to change the world, now looks more like a financial ghost ship drifting on royal nostalgia. According to verified IRS filings, donations nosedived from over $5.3 million in 2024, a jaw-dropping 60% plunge. Expenses, meanwhile, kept climbing past $5 million, leaving the foundation running on fumes and good intentions. The same documents show nearly a $2.5 million deficit, politely spun by their team as funding impact. Translation, they spent more than they earned. Behind those glossy annual updates lies a pattern: overspending, overpromising, and under-delivering.
They were completely and utterly willing to throw aside the people they were supposed to help, and now we have the situation where it's just artifice, it's just there for show.
Salaries alone hit nearly $1 million, with top executives pulling six-figure paychecks while programs quietly disappeared. Insiders say even loyal supporters started asking the forbidden question: where exactly was all that impact going? When staff cuts followed, it didn't look like strategic downsizing. It looked like survival mode. The image of a philanthropic powerhouse was fading fast, replaced by whispers of instability. Archwell wasn't empowering the world. It was struggling to pay itself, and yet every public statement glowed with positivity, as if optimism could balance the books. But numbers have no loyalty. They expose what the press won't print and the PR team can't spin. And just when the headlines started cooling off, another revelation reignited the storm, this time from inside their own walls.
The two most senior staff, the two people who have been propagandists for Prince Harry and Meghan, who have lied to the world for Prince Harry and Meghan, who have destroyed their own credibility for Prince Harry and Meghan, now out.
If numbers told one story, the exits told another, louder, sharper, and far harder to deny. Archwell wasn't just losing funds, it was bleeding people. Within 2 years, an entire lineup of senior staffers, publicists, and directors quietly packed their bags and slipped out of the Sussex bubble. Even Meredith Maines, hired in early 2025 as Chief Communications Officer, lasted barely 10 months before calling it quits. By Christmas, James Holt, the longtime right-hand man who had worked with Harry since his Royal Foundation days, was gone too. His departure statement sounded polished, an exciting new chapter, but between the lines, it read like exhaustion. Behind closed doors, insiders described Archwell as a carousel of burnout. One former team member told reporters that nobody stayed long enough to see a project finish. Another admitted that the atmosphere felt corporate chaos wrapped in candles and compassion. By late 2025, the charity had reportedly shrunk to just 2 full-time employees. A 60% staff reduction spun as restructuring. When you lose that many people, something deeper is wrong than strategic realignment.
Meghan praises herself constantly for being this great humanitarian, but when you really think about it, what has she done? I mean, even before she married married Harry, she was part of World Vision, but dropped them as soon as she got engaged. And so it's like, if you really cared about the organization in the first place, why not continue working with them? But no, she just threw them to the side as soon as she could.
The Sussex operation, once branded as purpose-driven and visionary, now looked like a revolving door of reputations trying to save face. Each farewell post on LinkedIn read like déjà vu, polite praise masking quiet fatigue. But the next storm didn't come from resignations or deficits. It came from a single embarrassing digital mistake that the internet turned into royal theater. It was supposed to be Meghan Markle's crowning comeback, her lifestyle brand as ever, all elegance and exclusivity. But one small website error shattered that illusion faster than any headline ever could. In early January 2026, curious Reddit users stumbled on a vulnerability that revealed the brand's entire hidden inventory. With a few keystrokes, they exposed more than 650,000 unsold products, from 137,000 fruit spread gift boxes to tens of thousands of candles and teas, worth over $20 million at retail. Overnight, the image of scarcity and luxury turned into a warehouse full of reality. The internet erupted. Fans who once defended Meghan's business savvy started asking why a sold-out brand had enough jam to supply Buckingham Palace for a decade.
This business is a disaster. And so much of the smoke and mirrors in the early days of the launch of that business was connected to the scarcity strategy, which meant that virtually no product was put on sale, right? So that it would sell out and so that she got the good headlines.
Commenters mocked it as the royal jelly stockpile. Newsweek confirmed the leak's accuracy, and within hours, as ever, rushed to patch the site and scrub the evidence. But it was too late. The screenshots had already gone viral. The glitch wasn't just a technical mistake. It was a metaphor for the entire Sussex strategy. Polished presentation hiding messy execution. A lifestyle empire built on exclusivity was now exposed as overstocked and overhyped. Meghan's silence didn't help. The longer she said nothing, the louder the internet laughed. And as her digital empire trembled, another truth began to emerge. One far more personal than jam jars or sales figures. Behind every curated photo and motivational quote, there's a weight most people never see. For Meghan Markle, that weight was the demand to be flawless. The Duchess turned entrepreneur who couldn't afford a single misstep. After the As Ever leak, insiders whispered that the real crisis wasn't inventory, it was identity. Meghan had built a brand around serenity and success, but the pressure to maintain that fantasy was eating away at the foundation. Every product launch, every Instagram post had to look effortless, even when the numbers and narratives behind the scenes were anything but. Friends reportedly described her as relentlessly driven, the kind of perfectionist who could turn a recipe shoot into a 12-hour ordeal.
This woman is so desperate that she went and she offered to work do a cameo in this movie that's coming out on Netflix. It's like a Hallmark movie because she's desperate. She needs to put herself out there. She's not even charging, and not because it's beneath her, it's because nobody wanted her. Nobody wanted to pay her. She's not worth anything for anybody. In fact, she is a liability because there's a lot of backlash already on that movie because she made it all about herself.
Staff talked about revision fatigue, where even the smallest detail, a label, a caption, a color tone, sparked endless debate. That obsession once fueled her rise. Now it was suffocating her brand. The more she tried to control the message, the less authentic it appeared. The harder she smiled, the colder the public grew. It's a paradox few celebrities survive. When the image you've built becomes the cage you live in. Meghan's brand promised calm, but behind the calm was chaos. And as pressure mounted, one question began to surface. How long can a carefully staged narrative survive when the world starts fact-checking every frame? Just when it seemed like Meghan Markle was ready to move on from the As Ever fiasco, whispers of a new project began circulating. A glossy cookbook supposedly set for a 2026 release. The headline sounded confident. Meghan's next big move, recipes from the Duchess's table, a lifestyle reborn. There was only one problem. No one could find any proof it existed. No publisher announcements, no press releases, not even a placeholder listing on Amazon. Every claim traced back to anonymous insiders, quoted by the Daily Mail and Parade, hinting that the cookbook would tie into her Netflix show with love, Meghan and her lifestyle brand. Fans wanted to believe it. The concept fit her image perfectly, nurturing, stylish, and commercial enough to rebuild her empire. But as weeks turned into months, silence replaced hype.
This woman is looking for a husband. The problem is that Meghan Markle is ugly. Meghan Markle is ugly, old, looks old. Never mind the age. She looks old. She's smelly. She's unpleasant. No smart billionaire is gonna marry this woman or have anything to do with her without having a prenup.
Industry reporters noted that even Archwell's media contacts had no knowledge of any such project. It started to feel less like a launch and more like a PR illusion designed to distract from the bad press. The missing cookbook became a symbol of something bigger, the gap between Meghan's public promises and her private progress. Each rumor fueled a cycle of curiosity, speculation, and fatigue. Was she teasing a comeback or simply keeping her name in the conversation? Because when a brand starts living off anticipation, even a ghost project can become the headline. While Meghan battled perception in Hollywood, Prince Harry was fighting a different kind of war, one against the British establishment itself. Since stepping back from royal duties in 2020, Harry's biggest obsession hasn't been fame or fortune, but safety. What started as a personal concern spiraled into years of legal warfare with the UK government. Court documents show he lost every round, 4 defeats in total, as judges ruled that royal police protection couldn't be bought or negotiated. For a man raised under constant guard, that verdict cut deeper than any tabloid headline. Harry's frustration was plain. In interviews, he accused officials of an establishment stitch-up, convinced that the system was punishing him for leaving the monarchy. By 2025, he was spending millions in legal fees trying to regain what his title once guaranteed. Then came the September 2025 stalker incidents, where a woman breached hotel security before one of his public events. Private guards intervened, but no police protection was in place. It was the nightmare he'd feared, played out in real time. The loss left him visibly shaken, and insiders say it deepened the rift between duty and defiance.
The only reason he wants to come here, and everyone needs to realize this, is because his career has collapsed in the United States of America. Meghan Markle's dream of becoming a Hollywood billionaire in America has collapsed. It's over. The staff are leaving. The rats are abandoning this sinking ship.
To Harry, every courtroom loss wasn't just legal, it was personal validation that he no longer belonged. And while he fought for control, the world he and Meghan built in California was starting to crumble from the inside. For a while, Meghan and Harry's Netflix deal was their golden ticket, the glossy validation that proved they'd traded palace protocol for Hollywood power. In 2020, that $100 million exclusive contract was hailed as a revolution. The royals were no longer subjects of media, they were its creators. But fast forward to 2025, and the shine was gone. Netflix quietly renewed their partnership, not as an exclusive, but as a first-look deal. Industry speak for "we'll see what you've got, and maybe we'll buy it." Translation, a downgrade. Behind the corporate politeness, the message was clear. Their content wasn't performing. Harry and Meghan broke records in 2022, but everything after that, Heart of Invictus, Polo, With Love, Meghan fizzled. Viewership dropped, critics rolled their eyes, and algorithms moved on. Variety called it a modest extension, while The Hollywood Reporter didn't bother sugarcoating it. A downgrade. The irony couldn't be sharper. The couple who once commanded the world's attention now struggled to keep it for 30 minutes. Their creative empire, meant to amplify meaningful stories, was turning into background noise in a streaming landscape that never stopped scrolling. In Hollywood, relevance is currency, and theirs was losing value fast. Netflix wasn't cutting them off, but it was no longer betting big, and as the cameras dimmed, their next move said everything about where the brand was heading. While Netflix cooled off and Archwell's finances wobbled, the Sussex camp made a quiet move, a rebrand so understated most people missed it.
I was shocked, Dan. Like, when I first initially saw this post on X about it, I was like, no, there's just no way, because there's so much misinformation out there about Harry and Meghan in some ways. But then I was actually putting the numbers in, and you're getting stock counts, and I'm like, you should never ever see that on a website. And in case, unless they have like 1 or 2 left, they will let you know that. But to have potentially 37,000 fruit spreads sitting out there is astronomically bad.
In December 2025, Archwell Foundation quietly became Archwell Philanthropies, with an announcement dressed in optimistic language about strategic evolution and expanding partnerships. But to those reading between the lines, it wasn't growth, it was retreat. By shifting to a fiscal sponsorship model, they essentially stopped running their own programs and began funneling donations through outside organizations. In other words, Archwell no longer did the work. It just funded others who did. Insiders spun it as streamlining for impact. Critics called it what it was: downsizing with a smile. Financial filings showed the foundation spending more than it raised, while staff shrank to a skeleton crew. Even loyal supporters started wondering whether Archwell was evolving or evaporating. The change of name was clever. Philanthropies sounded grander, broader, but it also blurred accountability. When results grew vague, so did the brand's purpose. Meghan and Harry once promised transparency. Now even the paperwork raised eyebrows. Still, they framed it as progress, a bold step forward. Yet bold steps usually lead somewhere new, not somewhere smaller. The rebrand didn't fix the perception problem, it just delayed the reckoning. And as 2026 began, the illusion of control started slipping for good, not because of headlines, but because of the people who stopped believing them. By early 2026, the tide had shifted. The same online audiences that once defended Harry and Meghan with near religious loyalty began switching sides. Social media, once their echo chamber, turned into a public courtroom. The as-ever leak, Archwell's shrinking numbers, and the endless carousel of staff departures all became viral talking points, dissected by digital detectives and YouTube commentators. Even fan pages started using words like disappointing, overdone, and tone-deaf.
Charles needs to wake up, because what he's also doing, of course, is damning William to having his younger brother running a rival royal court in the United Kingdom. Because what else does he have to do? Lauren, that's the other issue here. Harry has nothing going for him in America. He has no work over there. He has no meaningful charity over there. His marriage is completely miserable. He is totally miserable. So unfortunately, this security decision means we will be seeing a hell of a lot of Harry in the United Kingdom. That is bad news for Prince William, who is trying to protect the monarchy.
The couple who'd once been symbols of liberation now felt strangely overexposed. Hashtags like Megxit2 and Jamgate flooded timelines, mixing humor with cynicism. Memes mocked their impact statements. Reddit threads analyzed tax filings like crime evidence. The digital spotlight that once made them untouchable now magnified every flaw. Silence, once their best PR move, started to sound like evasion. The narrative had slipped out of their control, and this time, no carefully edited interview could bring it back. Public opinion isn't lost overnight. It erodes drip by drip, and that's exactly what was happening. Even their staunchest supporters began questioning whether the Sussex brand stood for purpose or performance. Online audiences love a redemption arc, but they also love exposure, and now exposure was all that was left. For the first time since leaving the palace, Harry and Meghan weren't shaping the story. They were the story, and the crowd had grown restless. In the end, it wasn't the headlines, the leaks, or the court losses that broke the illusion. It was the truth catching up to the image. The empire Harry and Meghan built on reinvention became a mirror they could no longer control. Every brand launch, every documentary, every polished statement tried to reset the narrative, but the cracks told a different story, one of ambition, exhaustion, and a desperate need to stay relevant in a world that had already moved on. But the story doesn't end here, because while Meghan faces her empire's unraveling, Harry's next move might change everything again. Rumors are already swirling about his unexpected return to the UK, and what drove him there will shock you even more. So if you think this leak was the breaking point, wait until you see what happens when the past catches up to the prince himself. Watch our previous video where Harry's sudden trip back to Britain takes a darker twist that no one saw coming. This is Star Spotlight, where truth cuts through the fame and every story shines a little brighter or burns a little faster.